Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C, and today is April the 21st, 2016, and we are worldwide with Charlton and Big C Sports. We want to thank everyone for listening. We also want to thank our fans out in Latin America, so bienvenidos to you. And also we're getting tweets from London, England, as well as Berlin and the great country of Canada. And we know we all have heavy hearts today, Big C, and because we lost one of the greatest entertainers that the world has ever known, and the great Prince. And talk about a musical genius. I mean, he did it all, Big C. What are your thoughts on Prince and the passing and the celebration of his life, Big C?
Well, you know, it is a sad day when you look at it, Charlton. Prince, I mean, he was an iconic figure throughout the world, not just America, but throughout the world.
Yeah.
His music has touched so many millions across the world, across the globe. His impact in life will ever be remembered as far as what he did to the music world.
Yeah.
To make people understand it better, to appreciate it, to challenge the mainstream industry, to not lose control of his creativity, Charlton.
Yeah.
To be one of the most unique individuals in the history of entertainment.
Yeah, definitely. And I know we talk real sports, we blend entertainment, and we also blend sports. And it's ironic, Big C, because Prince is from Minnesota. You know, we talk about the Purple People Eaters and the Minnesota Vikings. And growing up in Minnesota, he was a big Viking fan. So he wasn't just a great entertainer that blended cultures. He was actually a sports fan of the Minnesota Vikings, Big C.
Well, Charlton, ironically, that's how Purple Rain got its name.
Yeah.
Being a fan of the Minnesota Vikings, he was a luxury box owner at the Hubert H. Humphreys Metrodome in Minnesota. He's been a season ticket holder forever in Minnesota. He was an iconic figure in the games. You could always sit up in the stadium. You could see him sitting in his box. He would have one of the player jerseys on. He was an appreciative fan.
Yeah.
People appreciated him for his talents, but he also appreciated others for their talents, Charlton. He appreciated athletes. He appreciated other entertainers.
Yeah.
He was not a selfish individual. He shared. He gave, Charlton, continuously.
Well, I think about all the times that I followed his music over the years, and this segment is sponsored by Bud Light. We know people like Bud Light because it tastes great, and some people say it's less filling. But also, Big C, when I think about some of the things of Prince, you know, when I was a little boy, I remember some of his songs came out, and I heard the song Controversy. And I remember how many people got into that, and the whole talk was, who is this guy? This guy's amazing, has a great voice, but he was playing his father's piano when he was 7 years old, Big C. That's when he got started.
His name, ironically, is Prince Rogers.
Yeah.
Is his name. He just shortened it to Prince as an entertainer. But, you know, one of the idyllic things about him, Charlton, is that on all of his studio albums, he played every instrument.
Yeah.
Prince played 13 different instruments. That's how broad he was of spectrum as far as a musician.
Yeah.
And when you think about a lot of the music he created, I remember back in the early 80s,
yeah,
he did this album. It was called Black.
Yeah.
Sony would not release it. And that's when he got into the big battle with Sony over creativity, and he refused to do any more work for him. They ended up in court for many years, suing each other.
Yeah.
But when this album was finally released in 1990, he produced the album in 1980.
Yeah.
When he released the album in 1990, it was just as he had produced it that year.
Yeah.
That's how advanced and knowledgeable he was about the music industry, is that he took it to that level 10 years later.
Well, you know, I remember too, you remember the movie, it was called The Prince and the Revolution, and he had, everybody was trying to see that. I was just in college, and I'd always remembered him when I was in high school, but I remember that he did that song with The Revolution was his band back in 1984. I think it sold 22 million albums worldwide, and I remember when they made the movie, there was a time when Prince had the number one song, the number one album, and the number one film in the United States when he had the movie, and he was also just blowing up all over the country, giving live performances, Big C.
Well, you know, Charlton, when you look at it, and I actually saw that tour of Prince and the Revolution back in 1984.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time I had the privilege of meeting him. I had backstage passes. And I met him, and he was such a small man in stature. You know, Prince only stood 5'4".
Yeah.
He walked around in the high heel shoes, which made him about 5'7". The hair that he had on top at the time probably took him up closer to 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah.
But, you know, he was such a magnificent person to speak to. He was very polite, very humble.
Yeah.
This man was a megastar, superstar amongst stars. But when you spoke to him, he spoke in such a soft baritone voice that,
Yeah.
you know, left you in awe. His intelligence and his willing to absorb knowledge from others.
Yeah.
Because he took what he learned and saw in others and put that in words, in music. And when you look at the idyllic songs that he created over the years, When Dove Cried, Purple Rain,
Yeah.
you know, in 1999 and on. I mean, this man was just something else. And, you know, when you talk about somebody that's going to be missed, and we always remember those people in the music industry because they always made poignant songs that let us know where we were in life and certain things that were always a part of our life. And, you know, you can go back and listen to Prince. I remember one time I was going to catch a flight and my younger brothers were taking me to the airport. And we were listening to the album 1999, and, you know, they couldn't sing a tune, but, you know, in the car that morning, they kept banging out the Prince songs.
Right.
And, you know, it still resonates today, that ride in the car as well as those songs, Charlton.
Well, I think a lot of people can go back and think about some of the favorite songs when you heard about Prince performing or coming to a city near you. And speaking of coming to a city near you, this segment is also sponsored by Cynthia Evans at CYNN Entertainment and Beneath His Wings Foundation. Support and donate at bhwf.org. Again, Cynthia Evans at CYNN Entertainment. If you're looking to promote your business, she's one of the best in the business in Northern California. Also, Big C, I remember when we were in college, a couple of my roommates, we were talking about going to see the Prince concert. I'll never forget one of the professors. And again, I was about 19, 20 years old. And all the women were so crazy about Prince. They thought he was so fine. And a lot of the guys got a little jealous, right? But, I mean, he was a good-looking guy. Women loved him. And men were kind of envious of how talented he was. But I'll never forget one of the professors said, he said, the world's going crazy about this guy called the Prince, as if he's a great entertainer or something. Now, he's old school, but he was a great entertainer. And to recognize that as a young boy, you know, 19, 20-year-old kid, young kids to this day, they think about that. I remember when we lost the great Elvis Presley. I was a little boy, but I was a little bit shooken up by that because he was kind of the American icon. We always saw him on TV, and we talk about some of the great musicians over the years. And, of course, the late Michael Jackson. So many great entertainers gone too soon. And we all have to make that road. We all have to cross that path. But one thing that I'll never forget, he wrote this song, and it was called 17 Days. And it was one of the most beautiful songs that I could recall. I remember listening to it in Los Angeles as a young boy. But that song, 17 Days, reminded me of so many things. And when I heard a radio station play it today, it just brought back some memories, happy and sad memories. But I want to honor Prince, and I know it's a sad occasion. We all know someone that we've lost, that we love. But if anything he's taught is to go on and create a legacy in your life. And Prince did something that he loved. No matter what race, no matter what your religion, no matter how tall, how short, how big, how small, Prince was something, he connected people through music. And music is universal. And we do so much talk about real talk on this program. But I think even corporate America can learn something from Prince because he galvanized people, Big C. He brought people together, and he did it through his music, but he also had his own stance in life, and that's when he walked away from Sony. What are your thoughts on that, Big C, how he stood on his own, Big C? He did it his way.
Well, no, Charlton, you know, I think about Pink Cashmere, but, you know, a song when you think about Prince, Nothing Compares to You, that he did with Rosa Gaines. And that was his career. In 1985, Charlton, Prince was the only artist to have a #1 song on all 7 top Billboard charts at the same time in the same year. Well, so when you talk about an artist and I'm thinking about the words that professor threw at you when you're in college.
Yeah.
Not understanding what an artist is. There was never an artist better.
Yeah.
When you think about that you own all the different charts, country, western, R&B,
yeah,
hip-hop, rock, all at the same time, as a writer and as a singer, this is what this individual was able to accomplish. And no one else has emulated that in history. So when you talk about the greatness of an individual that we've just lost in the entertainment world,
yeah,
this man will never be duplicated. He's been emulated by a lot of people, but he will never be duplicated throughout history.
Well, see, I last saw, I wasn't there in the stadium at the time, but the Golden State Warriors, they were playing a game on Super Bowl Eve over in San Francisco for that week, celebrating Super Bowl celebrations, and I know he was at the Coliseum at the Oracle Arena in Oakland. And there were so many people, athletes, big athletes, 6'5", 6'7", 7 feet tall. They were all trying to get a picture with Prince, like a selfie with Prince. Now, you would think that these athletes, sometimes they have their own things to worry about. They have their own ego or their own persona, whatever it is. But even today in Houston, the Golden State Warriors getting ready to play the Houston Rockets in Game 3 of their series, they were requesting that they could play some Prince music over the PA system. Because as we talk about Big C, and you do it so well, you blend history with the present, athletes and entertainers. Who, in your mind, over your years of being in the business, who does Prince remind you of? What other entertainer can actually make people think of him in the way that we think about Prince, Big C?
Prince reminded me of Prince, Charlton. I had the pleasure of meeting him a couple times. 1984.
Yeah.
Backstage passes, at a concert of his, and was able to meet him. Then later on, years in the late 90s, was at an event that we brought him in to do a concert, and had an opportunity at that point to sit down and talk with him.
Yeah.
And he was more interested in me than I was in him. I spoke to him, but everybody else was gaudy around him.
Yeah.
And, he turned and shook my hand because I just acknowledged him is all I did, and he asked me who I was, and I explained it, and I was still a very large individual at the time, so I guess because his affiliation with the Minnesota Vikings, it drew the sports genre in there.
Yeah.
We talked about that briefly. I had one of my championship rings at the time, and so, we elaborated on that a little bit. But, just to sit up and talk with him, he had such a powerful, resonating voice, but he spoke so softly with it.
Yeah.
And he was an appreciative. He wasn't a cocky, arrogant individual. And that's what you run across so many people that are at his level of entertainment, is that they don't have time for the general public or people.
Yeah.
So he wanted to go back and embrace it. Now, he was a clean neat freak. This was an individual who showered several times a day.
Yeah.
But he kept himself in pristine shape, appearance. Those are the things that it was his marquee.
Yeah.
You saw him on many, many shows over the years, being interviewed, talking to talk show hosts and all. But he could carry his own with anybody. He was world-renowned. He was world-respected and appreciated. And it's just a huge loss and void now in life and in the entertainment music industry, Charlton.
Well, we talk about how he's a great sports fan, and also, because this is a sports program, we're going to honor Prince throughout the whole program. But the Cavs sink 23-pointers last night. They're up 2-0 on the Pistons, and the Heat beat the Hornets 115-103. Dwayne Wade scored 28 points. And when you think about that, all these athletes, they are also paying their respects on Twitter. They're paying their respects on ESPN. People are on CNN talking about the great Prince and what he meant in their lives. And the Clippers 102, Trailblazers 81 in Los Angeles. Chris Paul had 25 points, Big C. And this next segment is also sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the Escalade, the new standard of the world. You can only get it there brand new at the Northern California Cadillac dealers. And when you go down and see it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. And so, Big C, when it comes to Prince, and I watched a video that he had on the Larry King show. Everybody loved Larry King. And when he would be on CNN. And I'll never forget that Prince actually gave homage to Stevie Wonder. And Larry was asking, so what is it about Stevie that inspires you so much? And Prince said something that you just said, that he's real. People could actually approach him. Now, he controlled his music and the outlet of his music but he never let someone denigrate who he was. He became a maverick in a sense because he did not try to conform to people. But Big C, as you just earlier said, people conform to him. That's one of the things that I think new entertainers, the new people, the young kids, can learn from the great Prince. Big C, your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, Prince made music, Charlton. He made music that was understood by everybody. It's music that will stand the test of time. I mean, you got a lot of young artists now that they last as long as a warm cup of coffee.
Yeah.
That's the extent of their career. But when you go back and you think about Prince's career, starting around 1980 when he released his first album, he was 16 years old.
Yeah.
He wrote the album, every song on the album. He played every instrument on the album. This is a 16-year-old young man. And the name of the album was Prince Rogers.
Yeah.
And he shortened it to Prince after that. But, you know, everyone at that time was like, who is this?
Yeah.
You know, who is this? We've never heard music like this. And I remember it very well, sitting up at a friend's house. You know, we'd just gotten out of practice. And, you know, and he had bought the album. And that's when we had vinyl. I don't know if you remember that stuff.
No,
we had the big 45s and all. We didn't have all these little CDs.
I think I was too young for that, Big C. Too young for that.
You know, we had to wipe the dust off of the vinyl back in those days. You know, put a dime up on top of the needle when it wore out.
I understand.
You know, when we sit back and we listen to this, and you were taking in what he was saying because it was so revolutionary, and you spoke about the great Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
And you think about his music of the time and how, you know, he was different than everybody else. There was always a message in his music.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the key. When you listen to what he said, you know, you go back to Purple Rain, and you think about the iconicness of the words of that song, even the opening chords.
Oh, yeah.
And when he hits that first three chords in Purple Rain, everybody knows the song. I don't care where you are in the world.
Yeah.
You know the song Purple Rain.
Yeah.
And then if you listen to the lyrics of the song, of what he's saying, how appreciative he is, what he wants, what he expects.
Yeah.
That's what his music was about.
Well,
it wasn't about, you know, self-deprecation of people and everything.
Yeah.
It was about appreciation of life and appreciation and just enjoying each other.
You know, it's amazing because I'm looking at, we talk about real topics too, and I'm sure a lot of people have their ways of celebrating different things, but Major League Baseball just pulled out, I guess from the Associated Press, there's a study that Major League Baseball offices are lacking in diversity. Well, we've been talking about that for the past week. Now I'm seeing it in the Associated Press. Now, why do I bring that up? Because it's a sports thing, but it's also a human thing. When I looked at Prince as a performer, as an entertainer, he entertained with everybody. In his band, you had African Americans, you had Latinos, you had Caucasians. He had a mixture of people. He wasn't someone that had just people who looked like him. He had men and women performing. He gave other people opportunities. Morris Day and the Time, Apollonia, all these great entertainers and musicians, they honor Prince because Prince gave them a chance.
Sheila E.
Yeah.
Was one of his artists.
Yeah.
You know, and you talked about Morris Day and the Time. You talked about Jerome. If you look at all the people that were around, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis.
Yeah.
But let me tell you one of the biggest things he ever did, Charlton. And everybody will remember the original Batman movie with Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember the blonde that played in the movie that played Vicky Vale.
Okay. I think I know what you're talking about. Slipping my mind right now, yeah.
The producer came to Prince and asked him if he could write the song for Batman.
Yeah.
Okay? He asked him when could he have it. He said, I could have it tomorrow. Not only did he take the lead song, he took the entire soundtrack back to the man the next day.
Yeah.
He wrote the entire soundtrack for the original Batman movie with Michael Keaton in one day, Charlton.
In one day.
Well, when you think about the genius of a man,
it's amazing.
He put together an entire movie soundtrack, and all you did was saw clips from the movie, but you were able to lay down an entire soundtrack for this movie in one day.
Yeah.
Where, you know, you're talking people taking weeks and months to lay down a soundtrack. He did it in a day.
Well, see, when you think about that, too, and I just want to give a few baseball scores because we love baseball. I also want to get a tweet out myself appreciating the Toronto Blue Jays for tweeting us to Jose Bautista. So thank you for following us on Charlton Big C Sports. Also, the American League, the White Sox 2-1 over the Angels. It was the A's 5-2 over the Yankees. The Rangers beat the Astros 2-1. The Red Sox over the Rays 7-3, and the Mariners 2-1 over the Indians. And so also, Big C, when we think about that, I think about how we talked about Straight Outta Compton and how the guys down in South Central Los Angeles, where there's Ice
Charlton,
Cube,
all
Tupac,
of those guys were influenced
all
by
of them.
Prince. When you think
All of
about
them.
NWA, you
Yeah.
think about Ice Cube, Dr.
Yeah.
Dre, Snoop Dogg. They were all appreciative and fans of Prince.
Yeah,
And Prince was also a fan of theirs.
yeah,
Because great artists appreciate great artists and they respect each other.
yeah,
But there was not an artist anywhere, regardless of the chart, whether it was country western, whether it was classical. I remember in the early 2000s, I walked into a friend's studio,
yeah,
and he was playing this CD. And he asked me, did I recognize the artist? And I started naming off some jazz artists.
right,
The album was named Northeast, West, and South. Okay?
okay,
This was a jazz artist, album, all instrumental that Prince had done.
yeah,
This is how iconic this individual was, that I'm sitting up in a studio, and this jazz album is playing,
yeah,
and I couldn't even recognize it was Prince because he was so broad across the spectrum in his talents of what he could create.
yeah.
It's just, all you can do is just forever sit back and appreciate the man.
Well, one of the things that we talk about when you talk about appreciating Prince in this segment is sponsored by your Northern California BMW dealer, home of the ultimate driving machine. You can only get it there brand new, and go down and test drive the all-new 600 horsepower M7, also known as a 760 Li, and tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. When I look at some of the songs, and we talked about some of the great songs over the years that he sang, Pop Life was one, Little Red Corvette, that was one. But one of my other favorites is This Is What It Sounds Like When Doves Cry. Now, for anyone, I'm sure we all have our favorite song that Prince put together, but how could you have just one favorite song because he has so many of them, Big C? But I remember the song, This Is What It Sounds Like When Doves Cry, and a lot of people have been crying today, because not just because they're heartbroken or shocked, but because he touched their lives. And it reminds me, just like anything else in life, what do you stand for? What do you take for granted? Sometimes we take things for granted. We don't appreciate it till it's gone. But there are times when I think about the great Prince and his music, he made people realize that everything that you want to do is possible. And his voice, he owned it. Just like Charlton and Big C Sports, we own our voices. We can bring things together with people. People don't always have to like it, just like with Prince. Not everyone loved his music, but no one can deny his brilliance. It's just a shame that we didn't hear a song with him and the great Michael Jackson, Big C. That would have been iconic.
You know, Charlton, in the past decade, we lost both of those, Michael Jackson and Prince.
Yeah.
Two people who touched so many lives for decades. You know, they came along about the same time, or Prince came along a little after the Jacksons did.
Yeah.
But their impact in the music world, in the entertainment world, in the movie world, because when you hear their music, you hear the soundtrack on so many different movies.
Yeah.
That their music was played in. They may not have been a part of those movies, but their music was.
Yeah.
And wherever Michael Jackson song starts up, wherever a Prince song starts up, people know, and they made impacts in lives.
Yeah.
That's different. When you lose individuals like this that make impacts in lives, they cross the racial divide, Charlie.
Yeah.
Their music was universal.
Yeah.
It was not racial lean. It was a racial soother when you look at Prince and you look at Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
They were really political ambassadors when it comes to music.
Yeah.
Because it didn't make any difference whether you were in America, whether you were in Germany, whether you were in South Africa, whether you were in Canada, whether you're in Russia. If you put on one of those individuals, Michael Jackson or a Prince song, it brought people to a sense of mind of peace.
Right.
Because whatever they were doing, they would stop. And both of those entertainers spent more time across the water entertaining than what they did in America, because the world appreciated them as entertainers and artists. And that's something that you can never replace, is world appreciation. They were world ambassadors in the music industry and in the life industry, Charlton.
And see, that's the great thing, too, about the great Prince and what he meant, not only in America, but in Minneapolis and in Minnesota. There's so many great entertainers. We think about Motown and how so many great artists came out of Motown. and the music is so brilliant. So what I hope, Big C, and part of what we do with this show, it's not just a sports show. Well, let me tell you who won the game, Big C. The Pacers beat the Hawks 115-109.
Charlton, there's points in life where sports are irrelevant.
Yeah.
And today is one of those days. The irrelevancy of sports when it comes to the loss of such an iconic figure as Prince.
Yeah.
As the world, not we in America, as the world has lost today.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of sorrow and sadness around the world for the loss of this great individual. You never heard anything negative about this young man.
Right.
You know, all he was positive in life. He had a great outlook and disposition in life. He enjoyed entertaining others, making music, and others feel good with each other.
Yeah.
And that was his joy and mission in life, was to give something to other people that they would have never gotten before, and he touched so many lives in doing that.
And I remember just like a boy growing up, and we talked about the great Elvis Presley and how he was a kind of controversial figure because he used a lot of gestures when he came onto the scene, and people saw him on television. And one of the things that I see about Prince, Michael Jackson, Prince, to me, they were such dominant entertainers. I'll even bridge in Tupac because he was so hardcore with his entertainment, but he spoke from his heart. He spoke about things that were real in his life. And just because not everybody could understand it or relate to it, some people would say, well, the guy's, full of controversy or whatever. But I remember the song Controversy that Prince sang. And he addressed so many issues. He addressed homophobia. He addressed whether someone's straight or gay. He addressed color, so many different things. In the last few minutes of this program, and I want to say that this segment is also sponsored by your Northern California Ford dealer. They build them Ford Tough, home of the all-new F-150. Go down and test drive it, and when you go down and see it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. So, Big C, as we close out on this show, and we're honoring the great Prince, one of the greatest entertainers that the world will ever see. We could go the next 1,000 years, and I think you'll put Prince up there with just a handful that touched the world the way he has, from Europe to the South America, North America, all in between, in the islands. Everybody loved Prince. So for me, because we do love sports and we do love entertainment, what do you think would be his impact for the younger generation? Do you think that more people, the way he took control of he wasn't trying to fit in, do you think more people will start doing that and honoring their music as opposed to maybe denigrating people in their songs? Does that make any sense, Big C?
Well, Charlton, I listened to the word that you said a moment ago, controversy.
Yeah.
And regardless of what Wikipedia says about controversy, what is controversy, okay?
Yeah.
Is it that you don't conform to what people want you to be?
Yeah.
That you can't be an individual? So once you become an individual with self-control and self-appreciation, does that make you controversial? Society looks at things wrong.
Yeah.
Because we're all not going to be the same in society. We're not all going to be looked at the same.
Yeah.
And when you look at Prince's impact on the world, on life, this iconic individual did more to impact lives in a positive way than he ever did in a negative way.
Yeah.
And I think that's what everybody has to take away from the appreciation of the life of Prince and the celebration of what he created for everybody to enjoy.
Yeah.
It's a sad day in the world for the loss of this individual, but you have to think about the joy over the past few decades that he put into your life and your heart and your mind.
Yeah.
If you just take a moment back, the world, anybody, whether you're listening to our program or any other program that's dedicating an homage to Prince tonight, listen to what the words were in his music. Appreciate and respect that.
Yeah.
You'll find a newfound self-sense about yourself, Charles.
Yeah, and see, that to me, and I want to, as we close the program, I just want to say to everyone who wants to be something in life, believe in yourself. Have some faith. Go out and make it happen. He trained consistently. He trained since he was 7 years old. His mother and his father, they were in the entertainment industry. And he actually made it happen. And I know a lot of times when you reach out to do something new, sometimes people will say, well, how are you going to make it? Well, how are you going to make it? Look at what you're going through. How are you going to make it? You don't have what it takes. You're born on the wrong side of the fence or whatever. I just think for all kids all over the world, adults and young people, I just appreciate how much he's touched my life as an entertainer, make me want to dance, make me sing. I was fortunate to see a couple of concerts of his in person. Just an amazing entertainer, an amazing person, and he did what he loved, Big C.
When we think about Prince, the opening line in Purple Rain,
yeah,
is that everybody can live by that in life.
Yeah.
I only want to one time see you laughing.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, in the world, if you think about the boldness and the power of that one statement,
yeah,
I only want to one time see you laughing.
Yeah.
Just think about it. The whole world laughed at the same time, Charlton.
Yeah.
If they followed Prince's lead and the world just laughed, what a wonderful place this would be. Just like Louis Armstrong said, what a wonderful world this would be.
Oh, yeah, a wonderful world. And speaking of wonderful world, Big C, obviously we have to come to a close today on a happy and sad occasion. But I just want to tell everyone, every Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Charlton and Big C Sports, we wish all of you a big peace and much love in your life. We hope that you have a super fantastic day. And in everything that you do, be yourself. Let the true you come out of you. So I'm going to go out to a round of applause for the great Prince. The way he closed many of his shows, people were cheering for him. They were celebrating how he performed, and we celebrated too. So we thank you for listening. We appreciate you. We hope you have a super fantastic day, and long live the Prince, and God bless Prince and his family. Offer our condolences. We hope that you have a super fantastic day and thinking about how great he was.